self-love is everything. Probably the most important thing to work on building in order to be able to find an amazing partner. Because if you don't love yourself and believe that your needs are worth meeting, you're going to find people who also don't believe your needs are worth meeting.
Welcome to the Badass Manifester podcast, keeping you inspired with high vibe content, bringing you the best manifestation and mindset tools, teachings, interviews, and answering questions to help empower you to get out of your own way and take massive action to make magic your everyday normal. I'm your host, Ashley Gordon, spiritual life and manifestation coach, helping women and spiritual entrepreneurs manifest more impact, influence, and income. It is my purpose and pleasure to help you wake up to the badass creator that you are. Let's do this. What is up, badass manifesting family? Today's Shaken To Awaken is day 5. We have an incredible guest. Her name is Caitlin Cantor, and she is a dating coach. She's a sex therapist. She's a relationship therapist, and her mission is to empower women to date confidently and be an empowered dater. And today she's going to share all about why now is the perfect time to virtually date and how to do that and how she met her husband and virtually dated with her husband. So really good stuff ahead. I'm so grateful for you tuning in to Shaken To Awaken. It's just a bonus podcast episode. It's a live stream series that's going down inside the Badass Manifester Facebook group. If you're not in the group, what are you doing? Come on in. It's so fun. And this series is with all the ladies that are in my mastermind. So I have a business mastermind. It's called Manifesting Max Impact. And these women are building their businesses, but they're learning manifestation and how to magnetize themselves for their dream clients and everything that they are creating. So it's a really awesome 3-month experience. And one of my favorite parts about it is the sisterhood that gets created inside of this mastermind. So all of these women, they're sharing their gifts in this Shaken To Awaken event. And behind the scenes inside the mastermind, they're doing the work. They're doing the work to do whatever it takes to make the biggest impact possible. And it's such a journey, an amazing journey to be, part of this experience with them. So I'm so grateful for each and every one of them for not only, doing the inner work, but sharing their light with the world on such a profound way. So I'm really excited for you guys to listen to today's episode. Enjoy it. And Kaitlin is launching a membership site for dating. If you would like to get on the wait list, the link will be in the show notes. Enjoy. And I think it's easy to make it really hard. Like I've had clients in the past who just want to meet their soulmate so bad and they're so frustrated and they don't know. The thing that I hear a lot is I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
Yeah,
absolutely. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, I think that's why I love working with strong, independent women, because so many of these women have worked really hard and know how to work really hard and get what they want and pursue their dreams. And relationships are a whole other set of skills. And so you can't get a relationship the same way that you can pursue your career goals and that kind of thing. So people think it's about what am I doing wrong? And it kind of has nothing to do with any of that. It's more exploring who you're attracted to and who you're going for and how you're being self-protective, and also learning new skills to recognize red flags and take proper action when you do recognize them, and to make the dating experience about you and not about them. So instead of what am I doing wrong, maybe it would be am I choosing the wrong people? Or instead of does he like me, it would be do I like him? And is he gonna text me would be do I feel like texting him? Changing the whole conversation from being one of bottom up to one of an equality and an empowered place, coming from an empowered place.
That's so good. I love making it more about you and focusing on your feelings. I don't know if you watch The Bachelor. Do you?
I have, but I don't right
Okay. Well, just a really quick aside for those of you who watch The Bachelor, holler at your girl. Um, so, there was like a lot of drama at the end, and obviously it's like the most dramatic season yet every season. And
now.
at the end, he ended up breaking off his engagement, but the woman that he was like his first choice but second choice, um, the mom was like his mom was giving her like a really hard time,
Mm.
and she was basically like, listen, like this is my journey too. Like it's not just what he wants and what makes him happy and what like
Ooh,
him choosing me. She was like, this is just as much my experience and journey as it is his, even though he's like the star of the show, you know?
absolutely. I love that. That gives me chills. Like,
Yeah. It was really powerful. Super
yeah, she's
powerful. I was like,
definitely in her
yes,
power. Yeah,
totally. So
yeah.
I know people are probably looking at the title of this topic today and they're probably like, really? Like now is a good time for dating? We're in quarantine. How is now a good time for dating? We're locked in our houses. So
Oh my gosh,
can
yes.
you share about virtual dating and what that's like? But
Yeah,
before you do, sometimes people will say in the online dating apps like that they can't even get a conversation going.
yeah. Okay, so there's so much to talk about when it comes to online dating. Um, Online dating is inherently designed to be a complete shit show. So if you feel like it's a shit show, that's because it is a shit show. You are basically being matched up with people based on essentially nothing, and then like having these high expectations of like what it's going to be. So I'm not going to go too into all of it, but I will say that it isn't designed to be this easy thing that maybe it's advertised to be. So if you're having a hard time having a conversation, then I would wonder who you're reaching out to. And, a lot of times that's a big thing is that people are either reaching out to people who are um, not showing up in the same way and wanting the same things, or if they're not paying for a site, maybe they can't get the same access as someone who like is paying. Um, there is someone out there and probably many people out there for every single one of you. So if you're not hearing back, there's some way that you're getting in your own way of it. And we'd have to like look more closely at that. But there's somebody out there that is like waiting to have you reach out to them and reply to you. So I definitely think that's the case. And so I would say maybe try reaching out to someone that you normally wouldn't and see how that goes. Um, and I certainly, if you have more questions about online dating, I'm happy to answer them. But for virtual dating, like if you are able to reach out to someone and do respond back, this is an amazing time to sort of get off the fast-paced shit show of online dating and make it finally work for you instead of against you. Inherently being such a shit show, it's this fast-paced thing where there's this pressure to know if you like someone very quickly, and there's a pressure to have sex very quickly, and that's all just it gets in the way of a connection being able to develop and to happen. So with virtual dating, you're forced to slow down and you are forced to focus on this connection. And so if you schedule dates with someone, then you're going to meet someone who's also interested in connecting because they're going to want to do it. And you can both show up and like actually get to know each other without the distractions that come from kind of that fast paced thing. It's harder to get ahead of yourself. It's harder, I'm all for like, have great sex. I'm a sex therapist. I think sex is amazing. But sometimes if you do it before you're truly ready, it can interfere with your feelings of attachment and things like that. So a lot of that is just not there to get in your way. And so I think it's an amazing opportunity to form connections. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yes, absolutely. Absolutely, it does. And we have some really good questions showing up right now, too, that I would love for you to answer.
Yeah.
But I love that because it's like there is so much pressure. And even it doesn't matter what age you are. I mean, my mom even talks about it. Like she'll meet someone and she'll be like, they just want to have sex. Like, I mean, it's true. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of crazy in a way because like I mean, can we just reserve the dating apps for people that actually want to like be soulmates with someone?
Yeah.
Not just hook up and then like have separate dating apps for hookups. Like, and
Yeah.
I know Tinder is known for like hookups, but it's just like,
Yeah.
I never online dated ever.
Oh, really?
Did you?
Oh, I online dated forever. That's why like I basically learned how to make it work for me instead of against me, just like through my training and all that, but also through doing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've pretty much been on all of the apps and stuff. And I met my husband online. So
Oh my gosh, we got a story about that. Can't wait to hear
yeah.
it. I don't think I've ever even heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like what's happening?
Marie said, I love the focus on not sex. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Caitlin,
Yeah.
Caitlin asked a question. She said, I met a guy at a bar right before we all were told to go into quarantine. We talked for a few days. He expressed a lot of interest in getting to know me and also talked about being worried about the virus. Now I haven't heard from him. Do I make another move? I texted first and last time we chatted, or leave the ball in his court?
Mm-hmm. So my thoughts on that are that as an empowered dater, I would definitely encourage you to do what you want to do and just notice if you're acting from a place of anxiety or like, I want to talk to this person and I have something to say to this person. At the same time, if you're not getting the attention and care that you deserve, then that is a form of communication and might be something to listen to. Like the person who's going to be right for you, you're not going to have to worry about. He's not going to make you worry. He's going to like show up and like you won't have to ask that because he'll just be there contacting you.
Oh, it's so true. It's so
Yeah.
good. It's almost like the same kind of belief system if you think about it for business. It's like if you know that your success is inevitable, then it doesn't matter whether you're showing up on Instagram all the time or on Facebook all the time, because wherever you show up, your success is inevitable. And
Right.
it's like if this is the man for you, then
Mhm.
it's just going to be inevitable in a way.
Right. Totally. And like people show you who they are really quickly, and if you're listening and paying attention, you'll have all the information you need. And so, not to be doom and gloom, but if this person isn't giving you what you want, then that's not good enough. And the right person, you just won't have to worry about that, and he will. So
Yeah.
there's so many fish in the sea. There's kind of no point in like sweating that dude who just isn't showing up the way you deserve.
I love that. I feel that way too. And I always say like, go after what you want, go after the
Mhm.
man you want. That's what I did. It worked out.
Yeah.
And even if it didn't work out, I would have been like, okay, cool. Next,
Yeah. It's like a skill in itself to learn not to take things personally. Like however this guy is acting has absolutely nothing to do with this person who just asked that question. I can't see any questions, so I don't know.
Caitlin.
Caitlin, love your name. Yeah, so so I feel like
I also want to say, Caitlin, he said he was worried about the virus and now you haven't heard from him. Hopefully he doesn't have the virus.
right.
But like, if he doesn't have the virus, like, I don't know, what if you ask him on like a virtual happy hour or something?
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
Yeah. And that's the thing is like, there's no harm in asking. You have to know that if he's not emotionally available, then it doesn't matter who you are. He's not going to be emotionally available. And move on to the next person. I mean, by the time that I met my husband, I was definitely of the mind, like, if this person's going to make me worry or make me feel anything but amazing, then I'm not going to put up with it. And, who he was in the beginning is still who he is now. And,
How do you feel about making the first move? Like, how she's saying, like, he reached out to me and then I reached out to him and I reached out to him the other time. Like, I feel like in the beginning, like those moves are so like, they're so big.
Right.
There's like a hyper awareness around them.
Totally. And I think that that's that anxiety and that like uncertainty and lack of control. Because if you think about it, if a guy is like ready for a relationship and you reach out to him twice, that's not going to bother him, right? Like if he's the guy who's like not emotionally available and maybe doesn't even know it, then like, oh no, she reached out to me twice. Like to me, that's a guy you don't want anyway. So I say reach out to him and, Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good. That's really good point.
Yeah.
Really, really good point. And then Alyssa said, I'm worried about not looking like my profile pic anymore after packing on the quarantine 15.
I know those.
Alyssa. Oh my God. Caitlin
Mhm.
said, true. Yeah, I'm down for that. Such a fun idea. Yes. Do
Yay.
it. Let us know how it goes.
Yeah.
Brittany, hey, Brittany, she says amen. Um, yeah, and just so you guys know, this is also streaming on the podcast. So if you're listening on Facebook, you can also catch the full replay on the podcast. And for those of you who are on the podcast, I mean, I would love to hear your like amens or claps or whatever it is that you're feeling towards this conversation, because I feel like it's important. It's good stuff. So, okay, what else you got? Where are we
Okay.
at?
So in terms of virtual dating, again, it's an amazing opportunity to do that. You're going to weed out people who aren't really interested in connection. You're going to not have that pressure of like, do I like this person or not? Keep in mind, a relationship is not about whether you like someone. It's about connection, and that takes time to build. So you're going to be forced to slow down. I recommend that you don't use a person that you meet and that connection as like a coping skill to get through this. So like, don't spend your day texting him and just like out of boredom. Like, be intentional with how you show up. So like, set up an actual time to have a drink or have dinner with this person, have a beginning to the date, have an end to the date, reflect on the date, decide if you want to meet this person online again. Try not to get too ahead of yourself thinking about future stuff. Try to stay very present with where the relationship is. And yeah, and I think it's a really great time to do that. Yeah, so that's that.
I love the be intentional part.
So important.
Yeah. Yeah. Like intention is everything. It really, really is.
Yeah.
And, you know, when people are putting themselves out there online, like I would say, even think about what is your intention there? Is your like, and where is your intention coming from? Are you coming from a lack? Are you coming from a place of like wishing you had someone to complete you because you need someone? Or are you coming from a place of like, I want to explore this. I'm excited about it. I want to see what's out there, and just like kind of paying attention to that
Yeah.
too. I, that's
Oh my
important.
God. The self-love is everything. It's like probably the most important thing to work on building in order to be able to find an amazing partner. Because if you don't love yourself and believe that your needs are worth meeting, you're going to find people who also don't believe your needs are worth meeting and who also don't value you if you aren't valuing yourself. So it really goes hand in hand. Yeah,
Yeah. And
for sure.
I think a lot of people that maybe haven't had a lot of relationship experience. I know for me, like when my first relationship ever taught me everything I needed to know. Well, almost everything about what I need, what my relationship needs are. And maybe someone doesn't know what their relationship needs are. Do you
Totally.
think like it takes being in a relationship to know truly, or do you think that how can one figure that out for themselves?
Yeah, so no, I think that the way that you know what you need is, and it goes with self-love, but is to connect with how you feel and to trust your feelings. Your feelings, if you don't know what you feel, you don't know what you need. But
Mm,
your feelings will tell you everything. If you feel anxious, that's telling you, that's information. If you feel safe and you feel joy, like that's information. And I think so often people are like, I feel anxiety because of my issues or like something like that. And it's like, well, maybe you feel anxious because this person isn't giving you what you need. So
yeah.
your feelings will tell you what you need and be your guide. And it's like, the more you trust them, the more that you are giving yourself love and saying like, I got you to
Mhm.
yourself.
Mhm. I love that. And Rochelle commented, and she said, "Be the person you want to attract."
Absolutely.
That's
Yes.
a quote.
I
That's
love
a quote.
it.
That's
Yeah.
so good.
Love it. Yeah.
Um, my Aunt Barb said, "Which dating sites are good? 30s and over, 50s if you know of anyone."
Mhm. So my thoughts are, yeah, and that's like a big age range. There is a site that is, I think it's called like Our Time for people over 50, but any of the sites are going to be good. I recommend doing not a swiping site, so not your Tinder or something that's extra fast paced. I recommend doing an actual website dating site, so a paid site too, and just spending each day, giving it a couple minutes to intentionally reach out to someone that you want to talk to. Don't be passive and like wait, and don't sort of like let it take over your life, but don't give it zero effort either. Just sort of have some balance, put effort in. But any site that is like with profiles and not just swiping, where you actually have to email someone, and pay attention also to the effort they're putting into their profile. Like if someone hasn't bothered to even fill out their profile, I don't know.
Yeah.
That doesn't good.
Such a good point. That is such a good point.
Yeah.
Such a good point.
Okay.
And I want you guys to know that Kaitlin, she knows what she's talking about, because number one, that's how she met her husband and how she manifested the love of her life.
Yeah.
And like she writes for Psychology Today. She has a blog on there. She has over millions of viewers. Like she's pretty big time. So I just want you to know that you're in really good hands here. And so we have another comment. Brittany said, trusting feelings. Yes. Not making excuses for why you feel those feelings.
Yeah. Don't blame yourself. Like, listen to those, trust those. Your feelings are your guide, and you are your guide, and trust you totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I did on my dating journey, was just very much like I went against the grain of society, but I trusted my feelings, and it led me to my husband.
I love that. That gives me chills. Good for you.
You
You want to say a little more?
I just went after it. I stalked my husband out, you guys, like hardcore.
Good for you.
When you have your podcast one day, I will be on there telling that story.
I can't wait.
It is empowering to take the lead in a way, but not have any attachment to it not working out.
Yeah. And it's hard. Like, and it's also okay to be disappointed, but you can't take it personally and make it about your worth, because again, shit show. You're being set up with people based on almost nothing, and then you're expecting it to become something and to become really fast. And nobody else is training in how to date either. So, it's really about this journey of getting to know someone, of revealing yourself a bit at a time, and of reflection. And stalking is the way to go. Or that. It works sometimes, yeah.
That's not Caitlin's advice, you guys. That's mine.
No, don't stalk. But come on, we all have stalked. Like, let's be real. But yeah, so it's about this journey. And so have realistic expectations of the time it takes for this to build, and try not to let the societal pressures of that speed to influence you. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So when you say like a virtual date, and let's just say that you and I are on a virtual date right now.
Yeah.
Right? So
we are kind of.
We are. So like, just let the conversation flow naturally. Like, do you have any tips for someone who is brave enough to be like, hey, you want to have a virtual date?
Yes, I totally do.
Because you can't expect a man to ask you to have a virtual date.
No, I think it's important to go for who you want anyway. And like that empowered part of you that's like, if I want this, I can have this. And the right person's going to want to have it too.
I want it.
I got it.
I got it.
Yeah. So put that song on and then get into, the vibe. So yes. What was I just talking about? Going for what you want. Virtual date. If you and I are on a virtual date.
Yeah. Sorry, I was distracted by Brittany.
Okay, the music. Yeah. So I actually would, again, being intentional. So like make it a nice thing. Show up maybe to have a drink as though you were at a bar, and or have dinner. I think it's important to have an end, because what can happen is you could feel such comfort and end up spending 10 hours in one night and like divulging everything and being like, oh my God, we have this huge connection, but really like that's getting ahead of yourself. So have a beginning, have an end, and have a reflection, and go slow, like reveal a bit, receive a bit, ask, be curious, and then like go focus on the rest of your life and don't, and then come back.
I think that's a really great point of having it be like, receive, like the receiving and giving. And, so many times my mom has said to me, like, she'll go on a date with someone and she'll be like, he just talked about himself the entire time.
Yeah.
That's so frustrating. So it's like,
Yeah.
it's got to be that two-way.
Yeah.
Like, it can't be a one-way connection.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
When it's one way like that, it's just like, it's just pushing someone away with all your words. Like there's no room for your mom,
Yeah.
That's good information that that person's not making space for her.
Right. Is that something that you could confront to someone, like on the front, like be like, just so you know, like,
I think that the way that like you date in the beginning versus like later on is very different, because in the beginning people are putting their best foot forward.
yeah.
So like if your best foot is that,
Mm-hmm.
then I don't think that's a great sign.
Yeah.
Like things should be pretty easy in the beginning, because it only like gets harder, not easier, when you're no longer putting your best foot forward.
When you have like those standards though, of like, okay, if he, if he does this or that, like, it's just a no.
Yeah.
Do you think that's okay? Or do you think it'd be open? Or you think that there's
Mhm.
plenty of, like you said, fish in the sea?
So I actually think that sometimes that's very self-protective. Like,
Okay.
you know what I mean? Like if you're excluding people based on sort of on paper things, or things that are not very important, but just like as a way to say, like, well, that person's not going to be good for me. I think it's in some way of self-protecting from having to get close, because there's always going to be something about a person that's not quite like perfect.
Mhm.
um, and probably a lot of things actually, because people are not perfect,
Which we're perfectly imperfect.
perfectly imperfect, and complicated. So I think that it's good to have standards of like how you want to be treated and stuff like that. But if we're talking about like how somebody dresses, like you can change that later.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, like I think that I would explore like, why is this important enough that I would exclude someone who makes me laugh or who I have fun with, just because like I don't like, their outfit. Something
Yeah.
like
No, that's so true. That is so,
that.
so true. And it's like I feel like the longer you're single, the higher those like standards are. But you said it perfectly when you said it's a self-protection mechanism. Like that just really, it's
Yeah.
so true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I mean when I say like we're in our own way, because in some way we're self-protecting. Like even
Always.
that belief of like, I can't even get someone to talk to me. There's billions of people on these sites. There's no way that nobody will talk to you. And
Hmm.
if that's the case, call me and I will help you through that and find someone who will talk to you, because that's not true.
That you're on point. It's all
Yeah,
beliefs too, right? Working through all those
totally.
belief systems. Aunt Barb said, how about keeping yourself real? If he's only talking about himself, he may be nervous and you can speak up and say so. Do you have any questions do you have any questions for me? Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, just know, like, however your dynamic is, like, is probably how it's going to be. Like, the people that I see who are now in relationships where one person's constantly unhappy with how the other person's being, that started from day one.
Mhm.
That isn't like new.
Yeah.
So, it's always good to ask for what you need. It's just like, if we're talking about the beginning, then there's so many fish in the sea that, there's no harm in asking, but just be aware of how many things you want to be different about him, I guess.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Danielle said, I was the one who made the first move in meeting my husband, and he loved the confidence I had to be the first one to talk. That's awesome. I feel
Yeah.
Brittany said, 6 years in my own way. I'm working hard to let down those walls of over the top standards I've created.
Love that, Brittany. And, I spent more than 6 years. I don't even know how many years it was, but it honestly was so worth it. And I honestly believe that, I wouldn't have wanted to have met anyone else. And I wouldn't have been ready to meet my husband now if I, back before I had done enough work on myself. And it's all happening in the right time. I truly wholeheartedly believe that. And you're on your own timeline. Like, you know, I had my baby at 30, what was I, 6 or 7? And like for a lot of people, that's old. But it worked for me. Like I don't have any judgments about myself, but like society will tell you that you have to be on a certain timeline. It's really important to let yourself be on your own timeline.
Yeah, thank you for that point. So share how you met your husband.
Okay, so I met my husband on JDate. So on that site, I was at a point where I was like pretty disheartened with the online dating world, and at a point where like nothing but the best was going to do for me because I was tired of anything less. And we had gone out on one date, and it was a nice date, but I was not going to take anybody serious so quickly or anything like that. So I left for a trip to Hawaii with a friend and like his friends, with these two guys. And when I got there, the one guy like confessed to having feelings for me, and it ended up being this huge mess because I did not reciprocate those feelings. And the trip was so uncomfortable that I actually ended up staying in the hotel and having virtual dates with Calvin the whole time. We have to go back to Hawaii at some point, but so I ended up like I was very vulnerable in that position, and I leaned on him, and he was there, and he showed up and like did things to show me like that he cared. Like if we were talking about a television show, he like caught up on it to show me like, it wasn't even in his way, I'm going to show her this. It was just like, oh, I want to be in the same place or something like that. So I ended up like doing these virtual dates just as I'm recommending that you do. And then eventually when I got back, my walls had come down quite a bit, and I really liked him. And it was like, once my walls came down, we were pretty smooth sailing. But had I not taken that time on the virtual dates, I might not have ever had a chance to really connect.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. It's so interesting.
Yeah.
It's wild. It's almost reminding me of virtual dating is almost reminding me of a show I'm watching right now. I don't know if you've seen it, but